Hello everybody, this is message number 2. I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible with this message, but there's a lot of information coming in right now that I really want to share with you guys about navigating the external reality right now. So first, let's start with, there are 3 lenses or states of consciousness that we use when we are responding to the external. And these are states of consciousness or frequencies that are in our body. There's a 3D state of consciousness, a 4D state of consciousness, and a 5D state of consciousness. 3D lens, 4D lens, or 5D lens. And these are frequencies, states of consciousness that are inside your body. And the more we can be aware of what state we are using when we respond and react, the more we will be able to choose. So 3D state of consciousness is coming from fear, anger, lack, believing that you're not safe, believing that you're not free, believing that you don't have choice, standing in duality. You're right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. Those kinds of things. Judgments. That's 3D consciousness. That's the 3D state of consciousness. 5D state of consciousness is I am free, I am sovereign, I am safe. I am love. You are holding love. You're holding a unity field. The heart is open, so your heart center is open. And you're able to experience anything externally from that awareness, from that consciousness. The 4D field or the 4D state of consciousness is where you're sort of standing on this tightrope, moving back and forth between both, right? One second you're in that anger and the next you're like, oh no, everything's okay, I'm safe, right? So it's this teetering back and forth. It's not a stable 5D consciousness yet, or a stable 3D consciousness. So a lot of us are navigating this sort of in a 4D field, 4D state of consciousness. And this consciousness that we call 4D is just, it's literally a consciousness that we're moving through. We don't actually stand in it for a very long period of time. Okay, so those are the 3 states of consciousness that in any now moment we are using to navigate. And typically it's a 3D or 5D moving through this 4D. So, why is this important? Because currently we are, as the light workers, way showers, star seeds, whatever name you want to give it, it really doesn't matter. Those that are awakening right now are here to alchemize the external density into light, okay? And the way that we alchemize density into light is by holding higher frequencies, by being in higher frequencies, i.e. higher states of consciousness, and by responding to the external in those higher states of consciousness. And the way we do that is we practice moving into our heart space, that heart-centered experience. It's also called the 0-point field. What does this feel like? It feels like 5D consciousness. Present moment. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not in fear. I'm not unsafe, no matter what is happening. I am allowing all sides to play out while still speaking my truth, standing up for what I feel to be my truth, trying your best to love as much as possible, right? It's the 5D consciousness. And so as we are looking and observing, as we are observing how we are navigating the external through these lenses, understanding that we're alchemizing density into light. That's what's happening on a physics level, energetic level. Just talk physics. We are alchemizing density into light. It just looks physical. It looks like, what we are watching unravel. When we recognize that you actually alchemize by holding higher frequencies, this actually, when you are responding and being and reacting from a 5D consciousness, that is what is emanating out. There's an actual pulse, a frequency that pulses out from your body in every now moment, no matter what. And that energetic pulse, that's a light, that's a frequency. And it actually alchemizes the external density that's vibrating out from it. And so if you are responding and reacting to the external in a 3D consciousness, what you are actually doing is perpetuating the actual consciousness density that we're trying to clear. Meaning, if you respond to that density that's fear-based, you're not safe, you're not okay, you don't have free will, you're not free, there's a ton of anger and rage, all these things, right? If you respond to it in that same frequency, then nothing's happening alchemically. You're just mirroring it. If you respond to it from a higher state of consciousness, you are alchemizing it, just based on physics. That density that looks like whatever it looks like out there has a pulse to it, a dense frequency. We're alchemizing by being and responding in higher states of consciousness. That emanates out. So how do you do that? You still get a voice. You always have your voice. You always have your truths. You're allowed to say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't want to, right? You're always listening to your resonance. Here's my truths. This is what is my truth. And when you are in 5D consciousness, you allow all truths to be. But you come back to the knowingness that when your truth is held in a higher state of consciousness, you are shifting, you are alchemizing, you're shifting that density. So there could be 5 million people that are holding truths. Great. Their truths are in a 5D consciousness, a 3D consciousness, in a 3D frequency. We are allowing them to have their truths. They can have whatever truth they want. But from this bigger perspective of understanding what you're doing here, alchemizing that density, allowing everyone to have their truths. But when I hold my truths in this higher state of consciousness, heart-centered, open, free, sovereign, loving, unity, I know that I'm shifting that denser consciousness just by being in the 5D field while I speak my truth. So being neutral, allowing everyone to have their truths, speaking up from a higher state of consciousness doesn't mean that you are allowing everything to just be. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're just laying over and saying, well, I'm not going to do anything about this. It means that you take action if you feel like it. It means that you speak your truth if you feel like it. It means that you stand up if that's what you feel like, but you do it from a higher state of consciousness. Do you understand? You try not to do it from the same state of consciousness that you are alchemizing. So when we are watching people respond to the density with the same frequency of that density, it's just perpetuating it. We have to rise above the consciousness that we are responding and reacting to. Do you understand? It's all physics. And you are actually alchemizing. But if you are trying to change a paradigm, a system out there, by staying in the same frequency of that paradigm, you're only going to continue that same paradigm in a different paradigm. So instead of coming at people with your finger, I'm right, you're wrong, this is good, this is bad, I'm not safe, I'm not free, you can't take my freedoms, you can't take my safety. Instead of doing it like that, 3D consciousness, you move into this heart space, you move into sovereignty, you move into unity, and you say, wow, this is the density that's clearing. My initial knee-jerk reaction is, F you, hell no, screw you. And then I move into a 5D state of consciousness and I say, I am free. I am choosing to not do that. I am safe. I am choosing to not have that experience. I am choosing to not put a mask on. I am choosing to not react or treat people that way, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, you are choosing it. You have free will. But you're doing it from a state of compassion, empathy, love, awareness, presence, peace. It doesn't mean when you move into 5D consciousness that you don't speak up. It means you speak up in a sovereign field. I'm free, I'm safe. And I'm recognizing the density that doesn't feel free, that doesn't feel safe. And when these really horrific underbelly deep state paradigms start to pop up, Our initial knee-jerk reaction is 3D consciousness. Oh my God, this is horrific. This is horrible. This is disgusting. This is, we have that reaction. Great. Have the 3D knee-jerk reaction. And then remember, I'm alchemizing. I'm alchemizing this. Can I hold a higher state of consciousness while I still stand in my truth? While I still say yes or no? While I still speak up? While I still protest? While I still do whatever I need to do? Can I see it from that perspective of physics? I'm alchemizing that. Can I hold myself in this consciousness that we call 5D, which is the 0-point field, which is heart-centered consciousness? It's not that you don't give a crap. You can very much give a crap, but you give a crap from a 5D field. It's very different. You're able to allow all truths to be while you still hold your truth. You're not afraid of someone taking your truth away. You respond from a space of knowing that you're free and that you're safe, no matter what someone is telling you or how somebody else is responding by feeling not safe and not free. If people are telling you to do something and you don't want to, you understand that you have free will and you can choose to do whatever you want. But you don't berate the individual telling you. You don't berate the system. You don't scream at the system, yell at the system, get angry at the system, tell the system they're doing something wrong, because that's a 3D consciousness. Instead, you say, thank you so much. I'm going to choose to do this instead. Do you see? It's a very fine line, but we got to start to get clear on the lens, the state of consciousness we're using to respond to the external, because we are, at the end of the day, this is about alchemizing. This is about alchemizing that density. And the way you alchemize density is by holding those higher frequencies and responding to the density from a higher state of consciousness, which allows your body to vibrate out that frequency. You're a little radar or a lighthouse that's beeping out a frequency. And we have to practice responding, reacting, and being in these higher states of consciousness. And not getting upset with ourselves when we are responding and reacting from a 3D state of consciousness, which is very normal. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Most of us are going to have that knee-jerk reaction in the beginning to many of these things that are unraveling. It's okay. Give yourself permission to have that knee-jerk 3D consciousness response. But then bring yourself back to the remembrance of alchemizing, shifting, assisting the human collective right now. That's why you're here. That's what you're doing. All the other things are second to what you're actually doing, which is alchemizing. Even if you don't want to, even if you don't like it, even if you don't think so. So we have to start to practice. What's the lens I'm using? What state of consciousness? Don't judge myself. And can I start to practice responding and reacting from a state of 5D consciousness? You can have your truth. I'm going to have mine. Not you're wrong, I'm right. You see it as energy, not right and wrong. You're going to jump above it and say, I see the bigger picture here. I got it. You step out of the matrix, right? You step out of duality, even as you choose free will to say, no, I'm not going to wear a mask, or yes, I'm going to wear a mask. You don't yell at the other person that's not wearing one, or yell at the person that is wearing one. You allow all of this to be experienced and seen as energy, knowing that we are so much more powerful than what is unraveling right now, that density. So how are you responding? Are you perpetuating it, or are you shifting and alchemizing it? Both are okay. Let's just get aware of how we're being in this reality. I hope this was helpful. There's so much more coming in about this. And I'm just going to keep sharing the messages that are coming through. I love you. Listen to this many times if you need to. Let it sink in, digest it, be gentle with yourselves. There's no right or wrong. However you respond is how you're responding. Let's just become the observer even more. Let's just recognize that this is energy and frequency, and that you are alchemizing density into light just by being in your human form. Thank you, and I love you.